What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Farrow from Monty and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monty and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Later.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monty the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. At the board, Jared, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing?
How was your Christmas, my friend?
It was good. Got to spend some time with the family and just chill.
What was your favorite gift?
I got some nice cologne.
Cologne.
Or slippers. I got some good slippers too.
Are they just straight up slippers? We got animal slippers. What do we got going
they're
on?
like Ugg slippers.
And what kind of cologne do you wear?
I mean, I wear a bunch of different cologne. The one I got is Dossier.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's like all natural or something.
I'll tell you, there was something different about Christmas this year. It was very memorable, I guess, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to do some shout-outs before we start the show today. We got ESO Created, Phil in the house, Stingers, thank you for joining on the membership, the First Lady of Wrestling, JB in the house, RJ, Chris Lee, who's going to become a sponsor of Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast. He will have a weekly segment, which I'm waiting for a name of it, but he should be sending us shortly. Little Patty in the house, Jason in the house. Who else we got here? Did I miss anybody? I think we're good. And one person I didn't miss is filling in for an ill Jimmy Farrow, is wrestling legend Randy Hogan. Randy, how are you, big guy?
I'm wonderful. It's so good to be back on Long Island's #1 show.
I'll tell you what, it's good to have you back. It's, with New Year's coming up, I don't know if you know, Randy, but they took down our original channel on YouTube. We lost a few sponsors, and it was very upsetting to me, right? And I've had some health issues last year that I had to take care of. But I have a new, outlook on life, right? It's like I'm fortunate to be part of such a wonderful show with all the people that I just named that come in every Thursday to join us, and the support of the fans. And then, making a friendship with someone like yourself, an icon like yourself, it's, it's humbling. And, sometimes I think you got to get straightened out a little bit and realize what you have, Randy?
I totally agree with that. It's, you mentioned humbling. It's humbling to me, thinking of really what small part I was in most people's eyes in professional wrestling. And now here, 30-some years later, I'm still on a show. I'm still on #1 show like yours. People they still know who that kid is right there, I guess it's very, very humbling. It's very, it's very nice to be remembered, I guess.
Well, I will
Rather than
tell
just getting
you,
squashed by
when you
Vader
and
or
I
whatever.
first met, we did an interview back at the previous studio we were at.
Right.
And, you know, what's funny, Farrah was out sick that time, too. It might be just you. He might be scared of you or something. I don't know.
Well, last time I was on your show, if you remember, you weren't there.
Yeah, well, I had to work. It was
Ah,
an afternoon show. What am I supposed to do? I got to go to work. But Farrah was here, but that was the last time you were here. But before that, the first time I met you, he wasn't. But I remember listening to you on another show. I forget what show it was. And they had this, I don't know who the wrestler was on they had, but you had called in. And I could hear the emotion in your voice. And I'm like, I just remember thinking, like, what a wonderful man Randy is. And how good is it for him to get emotional over thinking about his past. And, you know, I just thought it was a really special moment. You know, so is that something that happens to you often?
I'm not sure which one you're referring to. It depends on the question or on the subject that I'm on. You know, I have a lot of fond memories from when I was a kid, 7, 8, 9 years old, going to the matches with my grandparents, and the emotion comes in when I fast forward about 25 more years, and here I am for the first time starting to train as a professional wrestler, just stepping in the ring the first time. I teared up just standing in the ring. If only my grandparents could see. My parents, my mother was always my biggest fan, but my mom and my dad, it was kind of tongue in cheek wrestling. You know, it wasn't a real thing. It's kind of fake and all that's a bunch of crap. So they were those kind of fans. My dad unfortunately passed away and never got the chance to see me. And my mom, it was fun because we would do TV tapings usually on Wednesday afternoons for 3 hours. And then I'd fly down to Florida or drive down with my mom and we'd watch it on Saturdays. And again, just very emotional, thinking I can just see my grandparents sitting there, with their hands gripping the ends of the chairs because every last thing was real, And they hated that Dick the Bruiser and that Sheik guy and everything, but they loved Flying Fred Furry and all them kind of guys. So I was just raised on that. And anytime I do get emotional, very sentimental. I have so much to owe them, and just having me as part of wrestling and raising me up to enjoy something that at the time was kind of, I mean, they were barroom brawlers, but kind of wholesome as I look at it, and to instill in me the fandom, and to this very day, I'm a big fan. So those things make me emotional. Just thinking back, what ifs? What if they were alive? What if my mom, my father, saw these things as much as I wish they would have? And a lot of regrets also, in the business. I don't think I took it as serious as I probably should have a lot of times. Which means, I put time in the gym, but not as much as I needed. I wasn't strong enough politically to get my name on the list of guys that might get a minor push and let's see what he can do type of thing. I think the Hogan name, the Hogan gimmick, kind of got me a lot of job security, not necessarily in the right way though. Because if you remember back in the day, I didn't wear the garb. I didn't have the Randomania T-shirts or anything. I just had turquoise trunks, turquoise boots, a black velvet robe with turquoise lining and sequins and stuff. So that's what I was. I was always Randy Hogan, but I never really had the gimmick, the look, or anything. And I think WCW if you think about a lot of the guys, they always have their names changed. Look at Barry Darsow. How many different gimmicks he's had, different name changes and that. That's the same with the Ender guys like me, but they never changed my name. I was always Randy Hogan. And what it was is just prior to the wars or the Monday Night Wars, whatever, they were. I think WCW wanted to show the public what they do to a Hogan. Hogan's on top. Hogan's everything up north. Down here, WCW, we squash Hogan's. That's what we do. So I think that was all part of the business thing, and that was probably a little bit of job security for me. But of course, Gilbert came along, and I would have loved to have some kind of a gimmick, not necessarily a match, but teaming up or doing some kind of a parody on WWE when he came on. How great would that be? A Hogan and a Gilbert or a Goldberg. So,
well, how about a Hogan versus Gilbert match? Right, that would have been great during the Attitude Era.
Absolutely, yeah, any combination. In fact, I was on another podcast not too long ago, and he said he doesn't understand why they didn't do a gimmick like that. I mean, here I was. I'm available. I'm really easy to find. My phone rings.
I think that goes back into you not politicking, right? Maybe sometimes people got to be you got to bring the horse to water. But whatever the case is, Randy, you've done well in the business. People know your name, and you should be very proud of that. And just think, anytime you want to watch yourself, you're on every social media outlet. So, again, we all have our regrets, but you should be very proud of what you accomplished.
I really am. People throw around the terms, you're a jobber, you're this, you're that. So what, What's embarrassed by getting beat up by Vader or the Road Warriors, There's no embarrassment in that. And like I said, they're out there buying tickets. So indirectly, they're buying tickets to come see me. So whatever they want me to do, pin me, pay me type of thing.
Just think, you don't even know how many people you might have influenced at that time, and some young kids, and God knows, right, at this point.
Well, I try to. I'm very, very accessible, very fan friendly, and I mean, everybody says it, but from the depth of my heart, I appreciate the fans so much. I mean, just for giving me an opportunity to do something, just a dream that I had as a kid, and would I have liked to have gone farther? Of course. Am I proud of where I went? Yeah. It still baffles me how I got as far as I did. But I think part of it is like I said, being fan friendly. I've never gotten any trouble, any controversies or anything. And it's just, if I would have politicked with the brass as much as I did, as far as getting along with everybody in the locker room and outside the locker room, things might have changed a little bit. But happy to be where I am, proud to be where I was, and here I am, going to be 72 years old, and people are still mentioning my name, whether it be in a meme or whatever. It's very flattering and very humbling, and I'm just a lucky guy.
Well, we're humbled to have you on, and I know I'm humbled to have you on tonight, and nothing better than doing the final show of 2022 with Randomania, brother.
Running wild.
All right, so I was on Peacock the other day, and there's a documentary on Casey Anthony. I don't know if anybody remembers who Casey Anthony is. I hope everybody would. Name of the documentary, I believe, is Where the Truth Lies. So I'm watching this, and I don't know, I must not have paid much attention to it when it was actually going on. Of course, I knew about it, right? But I'm watching this documentary, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how does this girl, a woman, not go to jail? All right? It's, her kid disappears. She doesn't call the cops. They've got all these pictures of her out partying. And then finally, like a month later, she calls the cops and says she's been looking for her kid. She gets accused of murdering her child. She goes to jail for 3 years until she has trial, and then she's found not guilty, which is crazy. But here's the problem. I'm watching it, and it's a couple-part series, and I recommend it, and I'm not done watching it yet. But as I'm watching this documentary, I'm starting to get doubt that she killed her child. Is there something wrong with me here, or is it just that I'm apt to being spin doctored by good documentary writing and good production?
Well, she's from Orlando here, where I live. So, that was the talk, and there was a lot of inside talk probably coming out of Orlando that maybe didn't get further. But a lot of the fingers pointed to her father. Something, either there's an accident or something happened, something along the lines with her father involved. Of course, they brought in the brother, they brought in the mother, and everybody else.
Well, that's what they were doing this in a documentary. I guess there was some kind of sexual assault between her and her father. And then at some point, her father starts turning on her. And I had to turn it off because I'll watch it over the weekend. That's how exciting my life is. But there almost seems like, and this is a feeling I got, Randy, that her and her father were having some sort of sexual affair. And something went down and they were covering each other's tracks. That's what I got. Is that what you were hearing on your end?
Yes, absolutely. It's so hard to prove any of that. Some of the accusations. Was there sexual assault to Casey or not? Who knows? Was the father involved, and was it an accident, or did something happen that he was molesting his granddaughter, and she was going to tell her something happened, and he did it? Was the mother involved one way? I don't know. But again, nobody knows, and there was not enough solid proof. I think that's why she got off not guilty finally.
Here's a question for you. The amazing thing to me is if she did kill her child, which I tend to think she was involved in some sort of way now. How does someone convince themselves, because there's definitely something going on here where in her mind she doesn't think she was involved in anything. It's either she's the greatest actress in the history of actresses, or how does someone build that, in their mind that this stuff didn't happen? And I start thinking about OJ and some of these things. Do you think that's a trait in all people, or do you think that and then people believe their own bullshit, and if they keep telling themselves these stories, that they believe it, and they live this lie their whole life until it becomes reality to them? Or is this something special within certain psychos within society?
It's almost, I hate to use the term, but it's almost like a talent. I mean, these people have just something inside that they can convince themselves, and they can convince other people. And, they believe everything that they say. They believe everything that they see. I think the family probably got their stories together and rehearsed it for a long time when the search was going on and everything else, probably around the clock. And I think they had the brother. I think he was involved as far as knowing what's going on. I think the mother kind of washed her hands of the whole deal, but she didn't know. I think the father was involved. And I'm not sure Casey was physically involved in it. I think she knew. I think she was part of the storyline with the father. I think it was covered up by all of them because they all had so much to lose if the truth did come out. Like I said, I just think it's inbred in somebody, just like wrestling. Some guys can cut a promo. Some guys, are afraid of the microphone. I think it's the same like this. Some people can convince themselves and other people. Some people can cut a good life's promo, and some people can't. They
Good
did.
point, Randy. I wasn't thinking about that. Damn, that's pretty good. I like it. And by the way, I am rocking the ESO merchandise. Go to www. I shouldn't say that. My wife says don't use that anymore. ESOcreative.com. Get your own Monty and the Pharaoh t-shirt. And again, you could also go to our YouTube merchandise page or the Monty and the Pharaoh.com page and get all sorts of merchandise. Randy, we got some upcoming shows on January 14th. We've got Enzo. And then on February 4th, we've got Chris Masters, who I think is going under the name Chris Adonis. And we are sponsoring, well, if Pharaoh was on, and I think that's why he acted like he was sick, is we're going to do a Master Lock challenge. And if Pharaoh can get out of it.
$500.
That's it. If Pharaoh can get out of it, he's been offered $500 from Chris Lee, and we're asking people to go to the Monty, PayPal, and donate, and all donations will go to St. Jude if Pharaoh could get out of the Master Lock. And if he can't, any donations will go to St. Jude. But what are the chances of Jimmy Pharaoh getting out of the Master Lock, Randy?
Slim and none, and Slim's out of town.
Could you imagine Pharaoh in the Master Lock?
I did a convention not too long ago, and I was right next to Chris, Yeah. And he's still, he's jacked.
He is jacked.
And he is just strong. Enzo is, man, he's hilarious. Enzo is so good, and he is wonderful with the kids.
Wow.
My wife was with me, and she said, wow, he took his time, went out to the kids, and wasn't rushed or nothing. I can't say enough about Enzo, and I don't, other than meeting him at the convention there, didn't know him personally, but was just very impressed by that. And standing next to Chris Masters, and, he's got a shirt on, but still, the sleeves are tight as can be. It's like he's an extra large wearing a size small shirt.
Well, Pharaoh's kind of wiry, though. Maybe he could, right? Because what's that story that Bob Roop had that challenge that went on years ago in Florida, and some fan came in and actually got out of his move because he was, wiry like Jimmy. And he could just get, maybe, Masters is used to putting the Master Lock on the Big Show at John Cena. He might not, Pharaoh might have his number, man.
That's right. Well, he's out there on the indie circuit a little bit, doing stuff, and he's probably got some skinny little Randy Hogans out there that he's practicing on. So
get ready
for a challenge. He's going to have the Bengay for his neck, get some Isopure and stuff.
Well, the Pharaoh has not officially committed to it, so he's been ill. He did bring it up to me on the phone, and I hung up on him. So we'll find out next week if he's going to come in. And also on March 11th, we've got Sinister Minister and Max the Impaler in studio. And let me not forget, after Chris Masters, we've got the Bad Girls Club on February 4th, Jada Chachili, and little eye candy for Monty. You know what I mean? We got to have that on the show every so often. All right. Important mentions, Randy. 2022 is coming to an end. I think we have to take a few minutes for us all to think about some of the wrestlers who have passed. So I'm going to name some names, and we'll ring the bell, and then we'll go to a commercial break. All right, Randy, and then we'll continue on with the show.
Absolutely.
Forgive me for saying the names wrong if I do. I'm terrible at it, but Katsuya Katamura, Razil, Babe the Farmer's Daughter, Antonio Inoki, Starman, Candy Divine, Mickey J. Henson. Sarah Lee. Tim White. Mashi Ayagi. Jean LaBelle. Tarzan Gatto. Dave Hebner. Scott Hall. Rest in peace. Randy, any words on any of those wrestlers?
I was very close to Mickey J. You know, he was down here. He was a Tampa boy also. And just so many of those hit home. You know, Razor Ramon, you know, he was fighting his demons and back and forth for a long time, but was really a nice person in real life. As a kid growing up, I remember I saw Inoki, you know, as a little kid. He came through with Giant Baba, came through. And again, brings me back to my childhood, you know. A lot of those, you know, I hadn't heard of before, but they all made their mark.
Well, rest in peace. Our own Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page, Spotify, Apple Music, and Reverb Nation. Randy, one of the things that Jimmy does is he gives a little shout out to his partner Bart Griggs, but he does it in a very high voice. I will refuse to do it, but Randy, I'll ask you to do it. Can you say the name Bart Griggs in a very high voice?
I don't know if I can anymore.
Give it a shot.
Bart. Bart Griggs. It won't come out.
Very funny. Monty DeFaro can be seen on the Monty DeFaro YouTube page, where over 2 million viewers are seen. Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor. See us on the Twitch TV page, the Monty DeFaro Twitch TV page. If you're lucky enough to live in New York, you'll see this show in a reduced version on channel 115 every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and 11:30 a.m. and channel 20 on Wednesdays, at Saturday at 11 a.m. and on channel 20 it's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. We want to thank our new sponsor, Manscaped. We'll be right back with my co-host, one of the all-time greats, and I got to tell you, I call him a very close personal friend, Mr. Randy Hogan, where we'll discuss the year in review and give out the Monty and the Farrow Awards. And Randy, this is a cumulative voting throughout the year, and then obviously Monty has the final decision, which trumps everything. So if you disagree with any of these awards, feel free to say you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I will do that, and I can't wait to see him back there with his neck kind of crinched like this, you know, with one of them things on it.
We'll be right back after this commercial break. Sir? Manscaped? You know, have you tried?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped, what are you thinking about Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
so
pick.
Manscaped is a must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to go do the deed on a woman, would you rather have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
racing stripe,
full retro bush?
Racing stripe.
Retro bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to wander into that.
That's very interesting.
Like that.
I never thought about that. You're a smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured, you can see both sides. It's not
like blinking lights on both sides of that.
I don't want, I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that.
Gotcha.
As well.
Oh, look what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it.
Have you ever gone down there and she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
what is it?
Retro?
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa!
Wow!
Yeah,
like it
46,
pops out.
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's
through.
a trooper. Yeah, he's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you
no,
go.
I hear you. Listen, I couldn't
Bush.
I couldn't say it. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven, does Manscaped could help you?
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
well, with that, we're going to
Jeremy,
take a quick
Batman.
commercial break, and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick.
The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, where I've got a special co-host tonight, the great Randy Hogan, filling in for the iconic Jimmy Farrow, who's home in bed because he's afraid Chris Masters is going to slap that master lock on that pencil neck geek. Remember that? Pencil neck geek.
Freddie Blassie.
There you go. So you see that Manscaped commercial? Manscaped wrote me and said the guy said he couldn't stop laughing. He's like, "This is the best commercial ever."
That was great.
It's a little long, though, but it's good. So, Randy, before we get into this year's awards, did you catch the Ric Flair documentary on Peacock?
I did.
Tell me your thoughts.
I did. I thought it was wonderful. I thought they hit on everything, from him being adopted, up through his coming up through the ranks a little bit. I wish they would have gone more on his transition from when he was whatever it was Ric Flair before with the brown hair and that into the blonde hair and into the everything else. But again, as we were talking earlier, he had that natural promo quality. Anytime, put a mic in front of his face, and he was going. That's one of his best things. They say, and it's true, in his later years, he turned it into almost like another Hogan where he had 5 or 6 moves, and that was about it. But, it went on that and went on the story behind Reed Flair. It had little clips of David and Charlotte and Megan and that, but I just thought it covered all the bases of his life. And I think he told people as much as they really need to know or even care to know.
So let me ask you this. One thing that I thought about, even with the 30 for 30 with Ric Flair, and again, I'm kind of out of line on this, but I'm not. I felt that Rick, on a personal level, was a very selfish man. Right? I understand he had to take care of his family, but to me, I felt there was a level of selfishness in there. And maybe to be, as remember we spoke earlier, like you wish you would have done something different because you could have been more in the industry. Rick seemed to do everything to make sure that he was going to get the most out of this, but at the expense of his family. Did you get that same feeling, or do you think I'm out of line with that?
No, that's exactly what happened. As we talked earlier about Casey Anthony and that whole thing. People actually believe things that they're saying, and they have a way of expressing it that other people who are listening actually believe them, even though it's not true. Ric Flair, as everybody said, Ric Flair was Ric Flair. Wasn't Richard Fleer, he was Ric Flair, 24/7. He lived the life, he showed the life. It was, I don't know how selfish it was, because I don't know how much he withheld from his family or his kids financially. It didn't go into that. He definitely wasn't a nice, happily married man. He didn't carry himself that way. He was the partier. He was everything that he said, and he believed that he was that. But I think that was it. He just got to the point where he believed Ric Flair was Ric Flair. And the robes and the Rolex and the alligator shoes and that's all true. That's all Rick. I mean, that's just what he is, and he believes it. So who's to say he's wrong, you know?
Well, let me ask you
this.
And
he's still kicking.
Let me ask you this. So, again, you were around the industry, you met a bunch of these guys, and you might have relationships with them. But at some point, does something get ruined, like, for example, on a real far end of it, like a Chris Benoit situation? People love him as a wrestler, whatever else, but he washes that all away when he murders his child and he murders his wife. We all know about the plane ride from hell with Ric Flair. We had Baby Doll in studio. Baby Doll was like, hey, look, these women were always hitting on Ric Flair. At some point, he didn't know anything better than just to do what he did all the time, because that was the expectation of the women. I'm kind of paraphrasing there, but do you lose respect for someone like Ric Flair when you hear these accusations about him taking advantage of women and pitting them against the wall and taking his penis out? Or, I mean, what do you feel about that?
I feel that's a party, brother. If it's, it depends on how that's done. I can't say if he took advantage of these women, that's bad. If they were willingly wanting to go and everything else, just another rat, well, that's happens. And it's not just Flair doing that. He maybe had more opportunities because he was Ric Flair. But, you can't just pigeonhole that kind of behavior just on Ric Flair. This one just happened to get out, get talked about. When I see the other side of these people, other than the business side, I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for Rick that he couldn't come up more like a Ricky Steamboat. Okay, you don't hear anything else. Happily married guy, good family man, doesn't get involved in nothing. And he was right on the same level as Flair there. But I feel sorry for the Flairs. I feel sorry for the Scott Halls. I feel sorry for the Riddles right now. I feel sorry for anybody that is getting so taken, whether it's by their own attitude or their own feelings about what they have to be, or if it's some type of a dependency that actually grabs them that they can't get rid of, or for whatever the mental reason don't want to. I'm not sure about the Benoit things, about all the concussions. I believe all the concussions, but I'm not sure that flipped somebody. There might have been some issues long before that, other than the concussions and stuff. A mental illness, and something was done or said the wrong way, and snap.
So thank you for bringing up Matt Riddle. For everybody out there, last week we were supposed to have Danielle Petro on. She's the former girlfriend of Matt Riddle. She will be on next week. That's confirmed. So we will be getting into the dark side of Matt Riddle. Only, again, I know nothing about Matt Riddle. This is the story of his ex-girlfriend, and she wants to get it out there. So again, thank you for bringing up that point. All right, man. Let's get to the year-end awards for 2022. Let me see what we got here. All right. So the first award, Randy, we're going to work on the runners-up first. It's going to be Entrance Music of the Year. The first runner-up is Chris Jericho. Obviously, the Fozzy song, Judas. It didn't make the number one music. How do you like that entrance by Jericho?
I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that the music stops and the whole audience knows the song and they keep on singing it,
Yeah.
I think that's just really neat.
I love the fact that you're still watching wrestling, because a lot of wrestlers say they don't watch it anymore for whatever reason, right? What do you feel about the difference between the WWE audience and the AEW audience? Do you feel like the AEW audience is more engaged, or they're only more engaged because there's only a quarter of the amount of people in the arena compared to a WWE show?
I think that's it. I think it has more of a studio wrestling type feel for the most part. I'm sure the tickets aren't as expensive as WWE. I'm not sure how invested they get in a certain character, though, the AEW. I think AEW, in my opinion, has got so many factions. I watched it last night, or night before, last night. But there's 3 here, and there's 4 here, and there's 2 here. There's just not any single stars coming up anymore. There's factions. WWE's got their, with the Judgment Day and all that too. I don't know where all that came from. There's so many 3 and 4 parts to all these groups. Anyways, AEW's got so many more that I think it's hard for the casual fan to differentiate who's good and who's being carried for the match. They seem to be putting all their emphasis on the old WWE stars, Moxley and Danielson and Jericho. Not that they can't still go, but I don't see them developing anything. They got Hangman Page they try to put over, but he just don't have that it factor. Wardlow. I think he's the future, but again, he just doesn't have the backing, and that's usually I don't know if it's the writers or Tony Khan or whoever is doing it. But Vince made stars, okay? He made a Hogan, okay? WCW made a Ric Flair. AEW hasn't made anybody, and I think their viewership is starting to show it. So
it could be the talent too, right?
Them.
Maybe the talent isn't there. Today's wrestler isn't the same. I like the fact that you brought up Wardlow. He's got a good look, but again, weak mic skills, decent wrestler. Again, it could be anything, and anybody will say MJF, but let's not digress. The second runner-up was CM Punk's Culture Personality. That's a Living Color song, which I love. Nothing better than when Punk comes out to Cult of Personality. But again, did not win the 2022 award. The 2022 award entrance music goes, and I know it's an older song, but it still goes to Edge, Metalingus by Alter Bridge. There's not a better entrance to professional wrestling in the opinion of the Monty and the Pharaoh show, or we'll cut the Pharaoh out of this since he's sick. We're giving it to Edge. What do you think, Randy?
I'm not a big fan of his music. When he's making his entrance and the graphic comes up, everybody goes wild because it's Edge and they know it's him. Okay, but if you think back in the old days with the Road Warriors and everybody knew, wow, there he is. One note is all it took. That was the song. One note, and you know who was coming down the aisle. So that gets a little more credence to me. I think Punk is a good one. I'm just not hooked on Edge. I don't know who I would put in that spot offhand, but I would say I don't think so.
All right. Well, then we'll give the Randy Hogan opinion that CM Punk should have won. So right now it's Edge and CM Punk. The next category, Randy, is heel of 2022. The runner-ups are The Miz from the WWE. Everybody knows the work The Miz has done. Big-time reality star. Mainstay in the WWE. Definitely go-to guy. Thoughts on The Miz, Randy?
I love The Miz. I love his show. I love his character. He reminds me a lot of Dolph Ziggler. They both do whatever they're told, no controversies, making the money. They're never going to be on top or anything, but people love to see them for whatever the reason. So, yeah, I'll go along with Miz.
Great comment. Second runner-up, MJF, the spoiled brat from Long Island, New York, who uses a platform provided him by AEW to become one of the most buzzed about stars in the industry, but not the 2022 winner. Thoughts on MJF?
He needs more seasoning. Now, MJF is wonderful as far as cutting an ad-lib promo or something like that. He's good on the mic, but he doesn't do a whole lot in the ring. But I don't know. You know, when he took his ball and went home, and then just recently came back, and he had this. He came in with a long story, almost like a baby face. I miss you guys, everything else. A good guy, and then he turned again. But I think he needs more seasoning. I think he's great on the mic, though. But they don't hate him in the ring. They just hate him the way he talks.
All right, our 2022 winner for Heel of the Year, Roman Reigns. Cold, calculating, manipulative, violent, cowardly, punishing, all the words to describe what I consider one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Roman Reigns. Heel of the Year. Randy, do you agree?
Yes.
Beautiful.
I do. I don't... I'm not sure he's the best wrestler, but he's created a great storyline, and that's what old guys like me look for, storylines. And we all try to predict what's going to happen and where they're going to go and everything else, but who would have thought that he'd had the title this long? Especially with the Usos the same way. Who would have thought? Because wrestling talent, I mean, they're good, but there's just nothing great. But he's got the ball and he's taking it. He's taking it all the way.
Beautiful. Tag Team of the Year for 2022. The first runner-up, FTR. FTR had so many tag team titles, but one they didn't was the company they work for, AEW. That's one reason they're not the Tag Team of the Year. Thoughts on FTR?
I would move them up one. I think they're good. I think they're an unsung talent. I think people talk about them a little bit. But they're an established tag team, and that's what I like to see instead of putting two guys together. It's like in the old days you had Robert Roode and James Storm. You know, they were bad something or other, drinking the beer and that, but they were a tag team all the time. And they worked good. And FTR works good. Every match you see them, they're working 110%. So I'd move them up from number 3.
Well, the first runner-up is the Acclaim, the present AEW Tag Team Champions. The reason they're the first runner-up is because the Scissor Me Baby move seems to be the very popular thing. Not a popular thing with the Monty and the Pharaoh show, but we can't disregard the fact that the 600 to 700,000 fans that AEW garners every week love the Acclaimed. Thoughts on the Acclaimed?
I like him too. I think they work well together as a team. I think the music is pretty cool, but all in all, I would switch them in FTR, number 2 and number 3.
All right, so I think you're going to agree with us on this then. The 2022 winners for Tag Team of the Year, the Unified Tag Team Champions, the Usos. Thoughts on the Usos?
I tell you, I hate to admit it, but they're where they are. They're there, and they're still there. They work well together. I think Sami Zayn is coming to an end real quick, which I'd be glad to see. The young kid now, what's his name, Sikoa or Solo? He's going to be the best of all of them. I think he's going to surpass all of them if they market him right.
I love that, Randy. I think I agree with you. I think they'll slowly build into it, but yeah, he'll be a big-time player for sure.
Yep.
All right, fan favorite of the year. Runner-up, second runner-up, Bianca Belair, who I consider one of, again, with Monty and the Pharaoh, we don't separate the women and men. At this point, we think the women are at the same level as the men. Bianca Belair, I think fans love her. I even think the non-wrestling fans that see her love her.
I agree. My wife loves her. Not her number one, but she loves her. I love the dedication that she's got. I mean, her workouts, because it shows her in the gym once in a while and everything, you know. She looks and carries herself like a wrestler. And she's always flipping that ponytail around. And I hope they don't turn her heel, though. I hope they don't. I see it coming, but I hope they don't.
I can't see it, Randy. I can't see it. The fans love her too much.
I hope so. I hope it doesn't happen too.
All right, first runner-up. I'm not a fan of his, but the fans seem to be. Eddie Kingston. Thoughts on Eddie?
Great promos, but that's it. I wouldn't even have him in the running.
You don't think the fans love him?
When he's there, but he's not there very often anymore. You know, he was doing the thing with Jericho and everything else coming on up, and he was there, and he had everybody a little bit behind him, and then he just kind of disappeared. Now he just makes little spot things. I think he's lost his luster.
Okay.
I think they like him, but I don't think they love him.
All right, well, he didn't win, so that's good news for you. But the 2022 fan favorites of the year, the Acclaimed. Thoughts? Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yes, I do. They love them because they're a little bit different. They always got a funny rap to go to, and people like that. But again, if you don't watch them, you can't tell. You know, are they heels or are they baby faces? I don't know, but everybody likes them. Again, great entrance. And their music you can't pinpoint because it's different every week, but it's very entertaining. So yeah, I give them that spot.
I agree. All right, match of the year. Now, Randy, this one I trumped, and I put my own personal match of the year. So we'll see what you think at the end. But second runner-up, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, the match where they both were bleeding. We all know that match. Either some people say it was fake blood. I know Pharaoh thought it was fake blood. I tend to agree with Pharaoh. Thoughts on this second runner-up, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa?
Yes, that match brought some realism to the women's wrestling. It's very hard because the women, I don't put them on the same level yet as the men. Now, there are a couple of them, okay? Bianca being one, Flair, Becky Lynch, they really are workhorses in the ring, wrestlers. The other ones, the little pretty girls that, just kind of slap at each other and everything else. No, but this match between those two really brought some realism back. The old Moolah days. So, yeah, I go along with that for sure.
Great comment, Randy. First runner-up, Gunther versus Sheamus. Hard-hitting match.
Yes, very hard-hitting, very realistic. You could tell that they were having fun. They were enjoying what they were doing, Who can I chop the hardest? Who can I hit the hardest? It was a hard-hitting series of matches they had, actually. But yes, I would keep them up there too. Very good matches.
All right, here's my match of the year. Now, I trumped some of the fans. I'm sorry, I had to go with it. And to me, it's match of the year, but I'll let you weigh in. WrestleMania, Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville, the Jackass match.
How could you? How could?
Come
how dare
on, Randy.
you?
That was what
Oh
pro
my God.
wrestling is about. I don't think I've ever been entertained like I was in that match.
Well, that was entertaining, and not to get a little bit off track, but Knoxville and Logan Paul and them guys. These guys are Bad Bunny. These guys they really learn to wrestle. That makes it more entertaining. You like them for their what they're famous for, whether it be Jackass or whatever else. But then you see them in the ring, and you say, "Wow, they can actually do some stuff." And they throw in a comedy, whatever, throw in a hornswoggle or somebody. But oh man, I don't know. I'd have to put one of the best.
JB is saying Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, steel cage match, torn pec by Cody. Great match. And you know what? I can understand it. JB, I'm still going with the Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn match, but I get where Randy couldn't be happy about it, but okay. Comeback of the year, 2022. Second runner-up, Bray Wyatt.
Oh man, there's another star in the making. That should have been the next Undertaker. They did him wrong, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with him now. But he's one of the few gimmicky characters that they can really run with. So
I don't know, Randy. I think it's downhill for Bray Wyatt. I talk about this to Farrell all the time. His wrestling skills are below average, in my opinion. Great promo guy, great mind for the business, but it seems like every time he wrestles, the mojo disappears.
Well, as far as talent, he's never going to be a high flyer, And I look at guys that didn't have many moves, like Hogan and even the Undertaker. They had their few set of moves, but Bray Wyatt, I don't know. They just got if they can do something with that Fiend character, and as long as they're so hot on factions, bring back Alexa Bliss and maybe throw in another crazy in there like Nikki Cross or Nikki Ash she is now or whatever. Throw in Loomis, and start a really dark faction. Because there's no dark things going on anymore. They started with Karrion Kross with his entrance in that, and Scarlett. To me, best entrance of all of them. When it came out like that.
I think you might be right. I didn't think about that, but that wasn't much on the voting.
They got that big bird things going in the back,
Incredible entrance.
And she comes out, in the smoke. Yes.
First runner-up, which you got the wrong person up there, Jared, is Saraya. Saraya as first runner-up for comeback of the year.
I haven't seen anything yet. She hasn't done that much. She came back. Everybody wants to see Paige again, but just not seeing anything. What she had, a couple of matches, one or two.
Yeah, it's true.
So doesn't make a comeback yet for me.
All right, and the winner, which I'm not so sure how I totaled this up because I don't even know if this was really a 2022 comeback, but he won it. CM Punk.
For comeback? Oh heavens, no. As far as a comeback, I'd go with somebody like Edge or even Bryan Danielson or something. I would not do Punk, and it's not because I don't like Punk, which I really don't. But no, bad choice.
Bad choice.
I think Edge had a much bigger comeback.
Fair enough, Randy. Fair enough. Okay, the final deal and the most important deal, wrestler of the year, second runner-up, Seth freaking Rollins.
Wow. I would move him up a notch. I don't like the character that they gave him recently, Now here was Seth. He was a world champion. He was always on the cuff of doing it again. And then they bring him back with this goofy gimmick, whatever it is, with his laughing stuff. And if you think about it, there's never really been a champion that they have given any kind of a clownish gimmick to, whether they come back or wherever else. They just never make it. Seth, if he gets away from that laugh and some of that goofy stuff he's doing and gets back into being a little bit more serious, I think he could be back on top again. But right now, I think I would put him definitely better than third. I'd move him up a notch.
All right. First runner-up, Jon Moxley.
Totally disagree. I'm not even sure if I would put Moxley in the top three.
Do tell. Why?
I think what he used to be, as far as wrestling and everything else, right now he comes out, he spits water, he sachets down to the ring, he punches, there's blood, he seems, I know it's part of his gimmick, but he's always angry both at the fans and everything else. I just don't like his whole persona, personally. Wrestling ability, again, when they get in that heel mode and all they do is punch and kick. And I know he's much better than that. He was back when he was in the Shield, and I think when he first made his appearance. But now, I don't know what he's trying to be, but it doesn't resonate with me. So I wouldn't even have him in the top three.
I'm not a Moxley fan, but I can't disagree. Like, I'll have to disagree with you there because considering everything that went on between the Punk deal and the Elite, Moxley was a mainstay for AEW and kind of kept AEW at somewhat, a certain status, right? He was a mainstay that kept that company going. He did have a pretty good year. He had some really good matches. Again, I'm not a Moxley guy. I agree with you. I don't find him entertaining at all, but I think as far as 2022 goes, I think he has to be in the top three. All right, the winner, and I don't think this is any surprise, Roman Reigns.
Agree.
Where does Roman rank with you, Randy, on the all-time great list? And we're talking all time. Flairs, Hogan's, Rocks, Stone Cold. Is he playing with that crowd, or is he a step below?
No, he's a step below, but I think part of that is because the fan base has changed so much in the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever, I don't put him as an all-time great. The fact that he's had the title a lot of years, as you know, as I do, it's politics. It's not like he's really beaten anybody. For whatever the reason, he's the boy. But as far as being great, can't put him up there with a Steamboat or a Flair or a Bruno Sammartino or a Lou Thez. I mean, those are the greats.
So let me challenge you on that, Randy, and then you could rebut. So we all know wrestling is orchestrated or whatever else, and like you said, this is the guy that they chose. But doesn't holding a title and winning matches, it does matter, doesn't? Even though it's predetermined, it does matter. And then when you talk about the Brunos or the Hogans and things like that, if you really think about it, in today's day and age, more people see Roman Reigns than they've seen of all those wrestlers before. Because, the world has changed, right? We've got social media. We got all this. So doesn't that play into Roman being one of the greats of all time?
Well, that's what I said before. The fan base has changed. If you're just talking the greatest of all time, whatever, you have to put them up against. There's a lot of different factions. What makes them great? Okay, winning matches is part of it, but Flair lost a heck of a lot of matches. Okay. But he's still one of the all-time greats. Sammartino had the title for 7 years? Okay, they gave it to him. There's one of the all-time greats. Roman Reigns, the fans don't know the other people. They know a little bit about Hogan, but think of when Hulkamania was at its peak. Would you call him an all-time great? Now, maybe as far as an all-time great in filling the seats, he was up there. I'm not sure that Roman Reigns has the power to fill the seats. Good matches, yes. Fun to watch, yes. Talented, yes. A great gimmick surrounding him, yes. But I just don't put him as a great professional wrestler.
Got it. All right, Randy, we're out of time. I want to thank you for co-hosting.
Thank you.
We have New Year's coming up. What does New Year's mean to Randy Hogan? And please share your thoughts with the fans, and please share your thought what the fans mean to you.
I am looking forward to next year, hopefully getting my health back. You had your issues and everything. I have too. Old wrestling injuries that caught up with me. Long story short, so I went to bed one day. I was fine. I woke up. I had basically almost no feeling from the waist down. I'm that way now. I'm on a walker. It's not getting any better. They've fused my neck and my back all the way down. Nothing I can do about it. So I'm hoping for some help. I'm hoping to get another good year out of this. Like I said, I'll be 72, and every day is a gift. And just the fact that, like you said, I make good friends like you, and you're one of the few in the business actually that I'm good friends with. I'm so blessed, so privileged to be part of that. And the fans, some of them, I know they never saw me wrestle other than YouTube. Everybody talks about me getting squashed by Vader and everything. And but just the fact that they see it and they mention it to me, or I'm at a convention, it'll come up and they'll buy a picture or something. It just, it just makes me tear up just thinking about it. And every last little fan, even the ones, I went to a convention in Rome, Georgia last year, and it was the best one. It was real cheap to get in because it's very rural out there. And I must have had 10 kids come up. Can you sign my arm? They just want a magic mark. They want me to sign their arm, That was better than selling a picture. I signed so many arms, but again, so appreciative because, again, I see myself as that little 7 or 8 year old kid, watching the wrestlers come in and just thinking they're larger than life, and to think of some little kid could look at an old guy like me like that. I can't explain it. It's just, definitely more than warms my heart.
Well, I could tell you I value your friendship. I'm glad you're in my life. And I want to wish everybody out there a happy new year. I want to thank Indie Music Studios for supporting the Monty and the Pharaoh show yet another year. I want to thank Jared, who is a fantastic producer, Spidey. And Spidey has got himself a new job, but he is kind enough and wants to be part of the Monty and the Pharaoh show. So after his regular job, he's going to stay on just to do the Monty and the Pharaoh show. And I got to say that I'm humbled just for that. And then I want to say Happy New Year to everybody out there. Davio, RJ, JB Stingers, the First Lady of Wrestling, Maria, ESO Creative, Bruce, who filled in for me when I was ill. It's beyond words what I want to say to people. Just such wonderful people out there. And in today's world where there's so many problems, it's great to find these diamonds in the roughs like you, Randy. And I just want to thank you. And I'm wishing everybody a wonderful 2023. Be safe. We want to wish Jimmy a quick recovery. And hopefully he's working that neck out, because the expectation is that he will get in the master lock and break out of it. But if you listen to Randy, he has no chance in hell. Randy, you want to send us out?
I tell you, brother, number one podcast always has been. Shows, whatever else, Monty the Pharaoh, support them, listen to them, spend your money to them and everything else. Next year, happy, healthy, prosperous year to all you fans, and keep Randomania running wild, brother.
With that, for Mike Monty, Randy Hogan, and Jimmy Pharaoh, and Spidey, Happy New Year's. We'll see you next Thursday with special guest Danielle Petro, the dark side of, what was his name again? What's that wrestler's name? Who?
Matt Riddle.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Matt Riddle. We'll see you in 2023. Randy, thank you again, brother.
Thank you, brother.